The reality of retirement that no one else is going to talk about, except for me. It's weird, man. I don't get it, but that's okay. I'll have a smallish YouTube channel, and I'll still keep plugging away. The people who watch will get it, benefits from it, and the people who don't, well, that's okay. That's on them. So I'm sitting here this morning, and I got my little chart. I use a white pad or a yellow pad, a pen, and a calculator. That's what I do, because I'm a boomer. Okay, boomer. I'm not a boomer, but okay. Because when you actually write, there's some evidence that actually writing gets your brain stimulated more than typing. I think there's a lot to be said about that, actually. Now, my handwriting stinks. Look at that. Can you read my handwriting? I can't, but I can, actually. Anyway, so I came across this article today from Zero Hedge. All right, so the article is Visualizing the Monthly Cost of Buying versus Renting a House in America. With home prices and mortgage rates both rising, the U.S. is now witnessing the biggest numerical gap in monthly costs between owning a home and renting in over 50 years. Americans have seen similar scenarios occur. Haven't seen some similar scenarios occur since the early 80s. All right. So anyway, the red is to rent, the blue is to buy. You see, look at that jump. Oh my, no one can afford a house. Look at the rent. So you see a significant difference. First of all, it's not logged. They should log it. Logging just means that if you look as a percentage base as opposed to starting from the number, I don't want to get into that here, but logging will make a lot better. But anyway, either way, we still have the biggest gap between renting and owning, all right, that we've ever seen. So let's look at something here. I want to share with you something here real quick. And by the way, look at the prices increasing. Look at that. Holy crap. Holy crap. So let me show you something from check this out. From my book, Relax and Retire, Debunking Inflation Fears. And we're going to show you how inflation is currently calculated, all right? Understand that everything from your Social Security benefits to your income tax is based on CPI. And given its importance, you'd think at least financial advisors would understand how CPI is calculated, but they don't. Very few do. Never mind most citizens, they just don't. So what happens here is the BLS conducts a consumer expenditure survey every year where they interview tens of thousands of Americans to understand what we are spending our money on. They then take the data from the surveys and calculate what percentage of our spending goes to each item, which is used to create CPI. And then we weight the items, and you can see we have an item. All right, so all items are 100% of the weighting. Food and beverages is 14.26%. But you see that one right there? The housing. 42.36% of entirety of CPI is in housing, all right? So let's talk about housing. Check this out. It's broken down into two main characters. We got right there. So basically shelter is the big one. 32.5% of the entirety of CPI is based on shelter, which consists of owner's equivalent rent and rent of primary residence. Owner's equivalent rent is a quarter of the entirety of CPI, which is important when you look at this kind of graph, because that right there will show you that the CPI has gone way up because of the cost to rent and the cost to own your home, to buy a home. Now, if you're a renter, you're paying these increases each and every year, 100%. There's no get around that. How many people retired are renters? Very, very few. And I talk about that in my book. Very few are renters. I mean, some are, and that sucks for them. The vast majority are not, though. In fact, the vast majority of retirees actually own their own home. And I posted a comment on my community tab. Look, there's going to be more than just this here. So I want to share with you how freaking wonderful the retirement scenario is set up. So I posted this on my YouTube channel, on my community section. I said, I don't know if you can read that. You can't really read that. I said, remember, a huge portion of CPI is based on charts like this, the housing chart. See the problem? Put it in the comments. My man Tom Gilligan said, as freaking crushing, if I already own my home and have paid off my mortgage, then I'm not impacted by these rising housing costs. That's 100%. 100%. So when you're looking at this right here, you're remembering the rent of a primary residence is almost 7.5% of entirety of CPI. Okay, well, I don't rent. The shelter, which is 32.5% of the entirety of housing, is going to shelter. almost a quarter of the entire CPI is OER. And I'm not going to get an OER right now, but basically what they say is if someone were to rent your home today, how much do you think it would rent monthly, unfurnished and without utilities? That's OER. So not only do I not rent from, freaking my crazy landlord, that's 7.5% of CPI. I don't rent for myself, which is another 23. So that's 30% of CPI just gone right there. If you don't rent and you own your home outright, has nothing to do with us who are retired. Now it might have something to do big time with people coming up. I get that, but I'm talking about retirement planning. So why is that so important? Because we immediately eliminate those two things from our own personal CPI. And what does that leave us with? Well, it leaves us with these numbers right here. I want to show you guys something. Check this out. This Social Security website here, and facts and figures about Social Security from 2000, and we're going to click on the average average monthly benefit. And you can see the average monthly benefit, the total average benefit, and this is in 1999, was $884 a month. For men, $665 a month for women. Now you got workers is a little bit more, but we're just going to use, for the time being, we're going to use average monthly benefit for everybody, essentially. $884,665. So I wrote that down on my little scratch pad here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to go to 2010. We're going to type 2010 here, 0.10, and we're going to go to right there, 10. All right, and then we're going to come back here. We're going to go to boink, 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 and you can see the monthly benefit now for all beneficiaries went from, what was it, $884 to $1,284, and for women, it went from $665 to $972. So we take our trusty calculator, we calculate what the inflation rate on that, the COLAs was, and that is a 3.8% cost of living adjustment between those years for Social Security. For all beneficiaries, all right, all beneficiaries, that's everybody. 3.8%. It went from 884 to 1284. And then for women, it went from 665 to 972. All right, so Social Security increased over that time by 3.8% each and every year. That's an average increase. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, well, that's great, but how much did all items increase? And for social, remember, all items, CPI, we go to 1999 to 2009. All items. And what's all items consist of? We already talked about. All items consist of huge amounts of housing. Increased by 2.56%. So Social Security benefit increased by 3.8. All items increased by 2.56. Now let's just go to food, though. Let's just go to food because, food. And we're going to go here, 1999 to 2009. What did the price of food increase by? Oh, 2.88. So your Social Security benefit was actually increased more than the cost of food. Pretty doggone good if you ask me. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to go back here to Fast Facts, and we're going to type in here 2010, 11, because they changed it in 2011. All right, we're going to go over here, and we're going to go to 2011, where you can't get all beneficiaries, now you just get workers. And you can see they changed the data set here. Go boink, 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 boink. And you just got workers. They don't have all beneficiaries. Now we just got workers. So assuming this is you because you worked and you're on your retirement benefit, your benefit here as a man in 2010 was $1,323. All right, $1,323 as a woman is $1,023 a month. All right, now we come back. Oh, I didn't have to do that. I could have gone just right here. Oops, oh well. We'll get it. We'll get it. We go here to 22, and we go to 2022 right here. Doing blink, blink, blink. Let's see if that works. All right, now we got to go over here. OSDI, old age survivor disability insurance. We come down here, benefit, average monthly benefit by sex. Retired workers, 1838, women, 1484. What's that increase? That's an increase of 3.069% a year from 2010 to 2022 to 2021. Excuse me. Actually, I think we can even get 2022 in here. I think we can. 2023. I think we can. Or 2023. Yeah, right there. All right. We go down here. OSDI. We go over here. And 2020 for men at the end of 2022 is the average monthly benefit for retirees and 1638 for women. All right, so that's an increase of 3.069% a year. Now we go back to food prices. We go from 2010 to 2022. 2.79%. So our Social Security benefit has kept up with the cost increase of food. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. And what we can see is, yeah, we got a big bump right there. Look at that, big bump. 9.95% was the increase in price for food in 2022. All right, now what does our Social Security benefit go from 2021 to 2022? It went from, check this out, it went from 2020 in 2022, it went from 1838 in 2021 to 2020 in 2022. So in 2021, if I'm not making myself clear, I'm going to do it again. In 2021, the average Social Security benefit for a man was 1838. So in 2022, the average Social Security benefit for a man, for a worker, was 2020. We're not talking disabled, but it's all going to be the same COLA anyway. It doesn't matter. But anyway, so we take 2020, subtract that by 1838. We had an increase of $182 from 2021 to 2022. Divide that by 1838. It increased by 9.9%. That our Social Security benefit in 2021 to 2022. The cost of food went up by 9.95. I mean, so basically, your Social Security benefit is keeping up with the cost of goods. But the best benefit is the cost of goods for CPI uses housing in there. And if housing is going through the roof and your housing is paid for, you're going to get the recipient of those kind of dollars because you don't have to worry about the CPI relative to housing. You just have to worry about the CPI when it comes to electricity, your cost, your food, and all that. Your Social Security benefit is keeping up with that. Why does no one talk about that? Again, you eliminate your debt. And by the way, just as a side note, why would, if you have a mortgage, just going back to this thing right here, if I bought this house in 2012, I think 2012, 2013, right here. Yeah, we got pretty lucky right there. We bought it at basically the best time we could have, and we got very lucky. But anyway, if I buy my house here and I have a fixed rate mortgage, well, I don't care about that. But how about the other people? I get the other people. I just want to worry about Josh when it comes to my retirement planning. You just worry about you when it comes to your retirement planning. The other people have to worry about them. But still, if I took a mortgage right here and it's fixed, or even it's not fixed, I got an arm and went from 3.25 to, I'm at 5.25 now for the next 5 years. And hopefully in 5 years it'll be paid off. That's what I took my mortgage out. So in 5 years, it'll be 2028. Yeah, I should be paid off by then. That's my goal, or pretty doggone close. You see what I'm saying? So I averaged 3.25 the first 5 years, 5.25 the next 5 years. Look at that. So where's my inflation? There isn't any. And so the housing doesn't inflate because I own my home, and most of you do too. And when I say own my home, even if I have a mortgage, I own my home. There's no inflation there. Again, on property tax, I grant you, but property tax is a tiny potato to the overall cost of housing when it comes to your mortgage and interest. On top of that, Social Security was keeping up with inflation with food. I just proved it to you. 100% it is. So you're like, well, I need to adjust for inflation. Social Security does that. And you're actually getting the benefit of it because your CPI is lower than what they're showing from CPI as a whole. Because again, housing is such a big cost. Why does no one else talk about it? It's so freaking positive. Anyway, hope that helps. Love to hear your thoughts. If stuff like this helps you, don't forget to sign up for my email list and the Doobie Duke. I don't email much. I haven't probably emailed in a month. I might email somebody something today. I got some thoughts on that. But sign up for Doobie Duke. If you like what we do and you want to support me, just buy me a cup of coffee. It's in the Doobie Duke as well. Decaf. That's all I want. Decaf. All right. Love your thoughts. We'll see you.